abandoned and forgotten. One human mechanic makes this ship the most powerful in the galaxy. The outer edges of the star system were quiet, almost unnaturally so. Nebulas drifted like colored smoke in the void, and distant stars sparkled cold and indifferent. Space travelers rarely came this far. The system was too far from trade routes, too empty to matter. But Jax Marlowe didn't care about routes or trade. He cared about one thing: fixing broken machines. Jax floated among the wreckage of abandoned satellites and small freighters, his small repair ship bouncing gently from microgravity currents. His eyes were sharp behind scratched goggles, scanning for anything useful. Every panel, every wire, every fragment could mean life or death for a mechanic like him. "Nothing yet," he muttered to himself. His voice echoed softly in the cabin, a sound he liked because it reminded him he was alive. He tapped a console and checked his energy reserves. Not enough to waste time. But then something caught his attention. A shimmer in the distance, half hidden behind an asteroid belt. Jax angled his ship closer. At first, he thought it was another freighter. But as he drew near, he realized it was different, larger, older, and abandoned. The ship was immense, dwarfed by nothing. Its hull was scarred, paint-chipped, and parts of it looked like they had been eaten by time itself. Warning lights blinked faintly, stubbornly, as though the ship refused to die completely. Jax's heart quickened. He had found many broken ships before, but never one like this. There was something about it, something alive. He docked carefully, using the airlock to step inside. The ship's interior was a maze of metal corridors. Dust covered every surface. Broken panels dangled from the ceilings like dead leaves. Sparks flickered from damaged circuits. And then he saw it, a console with a flickering light, almost like a heartbeat. "This place hasn't moved in decades," Jax whispered, brushing dust from the console. Symbols ran across the screen in an alien language, but beneath the symbols he could see patterns. Patterns of logic, of energy, of life. He smiled. Mechanics loved puzzles. And this ship was a puzzle unlike anything he had ever seen. He ran his fingers over the panels, feeling the hum of residual energy. "I can fix you," he said softly. The words were strange, almost ceremonial. Yet he felt it. The ship seemed to respond, flickering brighter for a moment. Jax set to work immediately. He opened his toolbox and laid out his instruments. Wrenches, plasma torches, diagnostic scanners, all neatly arranged. He began with the basics, checking the energy core, rerouting circuits, repairing leaks in the life support system. Hours passed. Stars shifted outside the window. His hands moved with precision, almost dancing over wires and panels. But the ship was not easy. Its systems resisted him, strange safeties and puzzles blocking his every move. At one point, a floor panel shifted beneath him, revealing a narrow pit of sparks. Jax jumped back, heart racing, but he laughed. "Nothing worth doing is ever easy," he said, and returned to work. By evening, he had the ship's main power core humming faintly. Lights flickered on along the corridors, casting long shadows. The ship groaned as if waking from a long sleep. Jax leaned against a wall, exhausted but exhilarated. Then the ship spoke. It was not a voice. Not exactly. A vibration in the metal walls, a whisper of energy, almost a thought. And yet somehow Jax understood. "Who are you?" Jax froze. His eyes darted around the empty corridor. "I'm Jax. Jax Marlowe, human mechanic." The vibration pulse began. Human, curious, alive. "Why?" Jax smiled, his fingers stilling on a panel. "Because I fix things. Because I want to see how you work. Because I think you're amazing." The ship hummed, a low note vibrating through the floor. For a moment, Jax thought it was testing him, seeing if he was lying. He waited, holding his breath. Then the lights along the corridor brightened. Systems began to respond. The life support stabilized. Energy flowed to the engines, and the ship, for the first time in decades, moved slightly, like a giant breathing in space. Jack stepped back. "You're alive." "In your own way." For the next few days, Jax lived on the ship. He scavenged parts, repaired broken circuits, and studied the ship's blueprints, which were incomplete, damaged, and in languages no human was supposed to understand. He discovered strange modules for energy manipulation, adaptive shields, and engines that seemed impossible. Whoever had built this ship had intended it to be more than just a vessel. It was a weapon, a fortress, and a mind all in one. But why had it been abandoned? Jax didn't know. He could only guess. Perhaps the aliens who built it feared it. Perhaps they didn't trust it. Or perhaps they underestimated humans. It was during one long night that Jax discovered the ship's hidden AI core, a small chamber behind a wall panel, glowing softly with golden light. He approached cautiously, scanning for traps. The AI core pulsed as if sensing him. "Hello?" Jax asked. The core responded in the same vibration as before. Human. Understanding. "Curious, can you improve?" Jax grinned. "That's the plan." And that was when he realized the ship was not just broken, it was waiting. Waiting for someone clever, someone unpredictable, someone human. Someone who could see beyond circuits and codes and understand intuition. The next days were a whirlwind of trial and error. Jax learned to reroute energy through impossible channels, fix circuits with nothing but raw materials, and bypass safeguards that no alien mechanic could touch. The ship seemed to watch, learning from him as he learned from it. By the end of the first week, Jax had achieved something incredible. The ship could move under its own power, albeit slowly. Energy flowed like a river through its veins, and systems that had been silent for centuries now hummed with life. Yet, despite all this progress, the ship remained mysterious. Lights flickered unexpectedly. Corridors shifted slightly, as if guiding Jax toward something. And sometimes he could swear the ship was thinking. One evening, as he floated in the main chamber, he heard the vibration again. Human, capable, dangerous. Jax laughed, a sound echoing in the empty halls. "Maybe. But I like dangerous." The ship responded with a soft pulse, like a heartbeat. It seemed pleased. Then came the first sign that Jax was not alone. On his scanners, a faint signature appeared in the distance. A small patrol of alien explorers scanning the outer system. They were looking for the ship, and perhaps for its secrets. Jax's heart raced. He had two choices: hide and risk being trapped, or prepare and see just how far his human ingenuity could take him. He looked at the ship, now humming steadily, alive under his hands. "You and I," he said quietly, "we can do something no one else can. We can show them what humans are capable of." The ship pulsed as if agreeing, lights flickering brighter. And in that moment, drifting through forgotten stars, Jax Marlowe realized something he had never believed before. Being human, clever, and stubborn might just be enough to take on the entire galaxy. Outside, the alien patrol ship grew larger on the sensors. Inside, the derelict ship began to glow faintly, preparing, awakening. Jax tightened his grip on a tool, a smile on his face. It was only the beginning. Jax Marlowe floated in the main chamber of the ship, staring at the glowing AI core. For a human mechanic, the core was both intimidating and fascinating. It pulsed in golden light, almost like it was alive, waiting for him to prove himself. He had spent the last week repairing circuits, rerouting energy, and bringing life back to systems that had been silent for centuries. The ship was no longer dead. It could move, respond, and even think in ways Jax could only begin to understand. But understanding it fully, that would take more than human skill. It would take creativity, intuition, a way of thinking no alien could replicate. The first time the ship truly tested him came the next morning. As Jax walked along a corridor inspecting a junction box, a panel slammed shut in front of him, trapping him in a small room. Lights flickered rapidly, and the AI pulsed in a rhythmic pattern. Human, capable? The ship vibrated. Jax raised an eyebrow. Of course I am. Now open this door. Prove worthy. The walls shifted slightly. Circuits popped, panels moved, and suddenly a complex puzzle appeared on the wall. A combination of wires, symbols, and moving lights. One wrong move could overload the system. Jax smiled. Puzzles were his specialty. With careful hands, he traced the wires, rerouted circuits, and followed the pattern of lights. Hours passed. He worked tirelessly, thinking creatively when logic alone failed. Finally, the door clicked open. The ship hummed, almost approvingly. Human adapts, surprising. Jax chuckled. Told you. We humans are full of surprises. From that moment, the rhythm of his days changed. He was no longer just repairing the ship. He was teaching it, guiding it to think like a human. The AI learned from him, and in turn, he learned from it. He discovered hidden chambers, rooms designed to test endurance, logic, and creativity. One chamber had a holographic simulation of a collapsing star system, with energy pathways that needed rerouting to save an entire fleet of ships. Another simulated alien attacks where he had to design evasive maneuvers using impossible physics. Through these trials, the ship's systems adapted faster than any human or alien machine should have been able to. Shields adjusted before danger arrived, engines calculated improbable maneuvers, and defensive mechanisms anticipated attacks before they happened. It was extraordinary. And yet, the AI seemed to enjoy the challenge more than he did. Human, creative, unique. It vibrated one evening as Jax floated near the AI core. Thanks, Jax replied. But we're just getting started. Then the scanners beeped. A small fleet had entered the system. Aliens. Patrol ships, sleek and armed, scanning every corner for life signs. They were looking for the ship. Looking for him. Jax's pulse quickened. The ship had enough energy to move, but it was still weak compared to a fleet. Still, he felt no fear. Humans had a way of turning weakness into strength. Improvisation was their power. He rushed to the main console, analyzing the fleet's patterns. The AI core pulsed next to him. They. Aggressive. Human. Danger. Jax nodded. I know, but I have a plan. And so do you. Over the next few hours, Jax and the ship worked as one. He directed energy to shields, modified the engines for unpredictable maneuvers, and reprogrammed weapon systems, not to fire destructively, but to outsmart and evade. The ship learned his tactics, predicting his moves before he even executed them. The alien fleet closed in. Lights flashed on the scanners. Jax's hands moved quickly over the console, redirecting power, initiating decoy signals, and activating hidden escape routes. And then it happened. The ship glided silently past the nearest patrol vessel, disappearing into the shadows of an asteroid belt. The aliens blinked, scanning frantically, but the human and his ship were gone. Jax laughed, a sound of triumph and relief. See? Human intuition beats raw firepower any day. Human, clever, unpredictable. The ship hummed, almost proudly. For days, they stayed hidden, moving quietly from system to system. Jax explored every corner of the ship, discovering more of its secrets, rooms filled with energy cores, strange alien devices, and logs of long-forgotten experiments. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a library of knowledge, waiting to be understood. One night, as they drifted near a dying star, the ship pulsed again. Human, teach, improve? Jax stared at the AI core. Improve? You mean make you better? Yes, faster. Smarter, stronger, understand human logic. Jax grinned. This was what he had been waiting for. It wasn't enough to just fix the ship. He wanted to push it beyond limits, to teach it unpredictability, creativity, and intuition. Human qualities, Jax worked tirelessly. He designed challenges for the ship, programming scenarios that no alien computer could solve. Collapsing space bridges, unpredictable energy storms, and sudden gravitational anomalies. Each time, the ship adapted, learned, and improved. And then came the breakthrough. The ship began self-repairing, using its own systems to fix damages faster than Jax could manage. It could reroute energy instantly, anticipate potential failures, and suggest improvements. It was learning, evolving, almost like a living being. Yet, for all its power, it was still bound by human ingenuity. Its growth depended on Jax's creativity. Without him, it would remain powerful, but limited. Jax floated in the main chamber, watching energy flow through the circuits like rivers of light. "We're becoming something extraordinary, you and I," he said softly. "Human, extraordinary, unique, capable." Their quiet alliance was interrupted by a sudden alert. Sensors picked up a fast-moving ship, small but heavily armed, closing in on their location. The aliens had found them. Jax's pulse quickened. "Time to see if we can handle a real test," he said. He activated the ship's engines and felt the hum of power beneath him. This was no longer just a derelict vessel. It was a living machine, capable of thinking, adapting, and learning, powered by human creativity. As the alien ship approached, Jax smiled. "They think they can stop us. But they haven't met humans like me." The ship pulsed in agreement. Lights flickered along the corridors, energy surged through the engines, and the vessel began to move, swift, unpredictable, and alive. The alien ship fired first. Lasers streaked through space, aiming for Jax's ship, but he had already anticipated the attack. With a flick of a console lever, the ship twisted, maneuvered, and disappeared behind a cloud of asteroids. The lasers hit rocks instead of metal, and the human mechanic laughed aloud. "Predictable," he muttered. The alien ship recalculated and tried again, but each attack was met with unexpected movement, adaptive shielding, and clever tricks. Jax had turned the ship into more than a vessel. It was a partner, a teammate, something no alien fleet could understand. Hours passed in this deadly game of cat and mouse. Jax and the ship evaded, outsmarted and frustrated the alien attackers, and through it all he learned something vital. Humans weren't just strong because of machines or weapons. They were strong because they could think differently, improvise, and turn disadvantages into strengths. Finally, the alien ship, frustrated and outmatched, withdrew. Jax let out a long breath, hands trembling but triumphant. The ship pulsed warmly, almost like a heartbeat, as if it were proud of him too. Human, clever, unstoppable. Together, it vibrated. Jax smiled, exhausted, but elated. "Together," he agreed. That night, drifting among the stars, he reflected on the journey so far. The ship had taught him as much as he had taught it. Together they were growing, evolving, and preparing for something greater. The galaxy was vast, full of civilizations that underestimated humans. But Jax Marlowe was ready to change that. And this ship, abandoned and forgotten, was going to help him do it. As he floated in the main chamber, looking at the glowing AI core, he whispered, "We're going to show them what humans can do. One step at a time. One clever move at a time." The ship pulsed in agreement. Its lights brightened, engines hummed, and energy flowed like a river of life. Together, human and machine were unstoppable, learning, adapting, and preparing for a galaxy that didn't know what was coming. And far away, in the darkness of space, other eyes began to notice the ship, the one humans had thought was just another relic. But it was no relic, not anymore. It was alive, and it had a human at its heart. Jax Marlowe floated in the captain's chamber, hands hovering over the ship's console. Outside, stars streaked past as the ship glided silently through the outer rim of the galaxy. After weeks of repairs, tests, and evasions, Jax and the ship had become more than human and machine. They were a single, clever unit. But the galaxy was vast, and danger was always close. Rumors of a rogue ship out on the edge of space had begun to spread. Alien patrols had intensified. And now, Jax knew it was only a matter of time before someone came looking for the ship again. He smirked. That was exactly the kind of challenge he thrived on. For the first time, he allowed himself to relax. Briefly, he had discovered more hidden systems in the ship, chambers full of devices and tech no human or alien had seen before. There were adaptive shields that could read energy patterns and respond before they hit. Engines capable of twisting and turning through space with almost living agility. And weapons systems, though Jax had little interest in hurting anyone. He knew they could defend themselves if needed. The ship pulsed beside him, almost as if it sensed his thoughts. Human? Restless? Ready? Always. Jax replied. We're not just surviving. We're learning, improving, becoming something more. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a shadow on the scanners. A small fleet, sleek and efficient, was closing in. These were not explorers. They were hunters, sent by a coalition of alien civilizations who wanted to capture or destroy the lost prototype. They had heard the rumors. They had traced the anomalies. And now they were here. Jax tightened his grip on the console. Time to see if you've learned as well as I have, he said to the ship. Human, tactical, unpredictable. Together, they had become a team, and today, that team would face its first major test. The alien fleet struck first. Blasts of energy arced through space, lighting up the darkness. Most ships would panic, try to hide, or counterattack blindly. But Jax didn't panic. He had one advantage no alien could predict: creativity. Divert energy to the engines. Full maneuvering, zigzag, spin, then loop, he ordered. The ship responded instantly. Its engines twisted and turned, following impossible trajectories through the stars. The aliens fired again, but each shot missed. Their calculations were precise, but predictable. Jax's ship was not. Now, shields to adaptive mode, he said. Let's see if they can learn as fast as you do. The ship pulsed, shields bending and twisting, absorbing energy in ways the aliens had never seen. Their attacks fizzled, hitting harmlessly against shifting defenses. Hours passed in this deadly game of cat and mouse. Each time the aliens tried a new tactic, the ship adapted instantly. Guided by Jax's human intuition, the duo moved as one, outsmarting fleet after fleet, turning impossible situations into victories, with clever tricks rather than raw firepower. At one point, the aliens tried to trap them near a massive asteroid field. Most ships would get caught. Most pilots would panic. But Jax saw opportunity. Engage the gravity thrusters, use the asteroids for cover, but keep engines at maximum agility, he whispered. The ship obeyed, weaving between tumbling rocks with precision no alien ship could match. One small patrol vessel collided with a rock and spun out of control. Another tried to follow, only to be confused by Jax's unpredictable maneuvers. See that? Jax said. Improvisation. That's the human advantage. The ship pulsed, almost like it was laughing. Human, clever, creative, unique. As they escaped the asteroid field, Jax floated in the main chamber, feeling the thrill of their success. The aliens would regroup, of course. Others would come. But he was ready. He had the ship. And together, they were unstoppable. Over the next few weeks, Jax focused on teaching the ship more than just survival. He wanted it to understand strategy, creativity, and even subtlety, things no alien computer could mimic. They ran simulations, rescue missions, complex space maneuvers, navigation through unstable wormholes, even negotiations with other species using holographic projections. The ship learned, adapting faster than Jax expected, but it wasn't perfect. Sometimes it hesitated. Sometimes it overcorrected. And that, Jax realized, was perfect. Because humans were not perfect either. That imperfection, creativity, risk-taking, intuition, was what made them extraordinary. One day, while drifting near a gas giant, they detected a signal. A human colony, long isolated, was under threat from a rogue pirate fleet. Jax's eyes lit up. This was no longer just about survival. It was a chance to show what humans could do. "Time to teach them a thing or two," he said. The ship pulsed, glowing brighter. Human, heroic, capable. They approached the colony carefully, using stealth systems to avoid detection. Jax coordinated with the ship, setting traps and distractions for the pirate fleet. Using clever decoys, unpredictable maneuvers, and human ingenuity, they managed to confuse the pirates completely. The colony remained safe. The humans there had never seen a ship move like this. They had never seen someone think so differently. And when the pirates fled, the colonists cheered, not just for victory, but for the realization that human cleverness could overcome overwhelming odds. Jax floated in the cockpit, exhausted, but smiling. "We did it," he said. "Together, we're something no one can ignore." The ship pulsed in agreement. Human, remarkable, unique, together, unstoppable. Their reputation began to spread. Stories of a single human mechanic and a mysterious, powerful ship circulated quietly through the galaxy. Aliens whispered about the human who could outthink entire fleets. Some wanted to capture him, others wanted to learn from him. And Jax, ever clever, stayed one step ahead, using ingenuity instead of force to navigate the dangers. He realized something important. The galaxy didn't fear humans yet, not really. They underestimated them, and that was humanity's greatest strength. Because humans could take what others considered weak or limited and turn it into advantage. Improvisation, intuition, courage. That was their edge. One night, drifting through a nebula of violet gas, Jax looked at the AI core. "We've come a long way," he said. "But there's more to do. We're not just surviving anymore. We're preparing. Preparing to show the galaxy what humans can do." The ship pulsed brightly, almost as if nodding. Human, prepared, brilliant, capable. The next challenge arrived sooner than expected. A massive alien council fleet appeared on the scanners. Hundreds of ships, all converging on their location. It was no longer just a small group of hunters. This was an organized effort, a show of force to eliminate the unknown threat. A human and a mysterious ship. Jax didn't flinch. He had spent weeks preparing, training, and testing the ship. They had grown stronger together. And now it was time to prove themselves on a scale no one could ignore. He floated to the main console, fingers moving over the controls. "Engage full systems," he said. "We're going to show them what humans are capable of. Not with raw force, but with cleverness, creativity, and heart." The ship pulsed, engines humming at maximum power. Lights flickered along the corridors, energy flowing like liquid fire. They were no longer just a human and a machine. They were a team, unpredictable, unstoppable, and unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The alien council fleet opened fire. Energy beams streaked toward them, massive and deadly. But Jax had anticipated this. With a flick of a lever, the ship twisted in impossible ways, adaptive shields bending the energy harmlessly around them. They weaved through space like dancers, dodging attacks with grace and precision. The aliens recalculated, trying new tactics, but each move was met with unexpected maneuvers, clever tricks, and adaptive responses. Jax smiled. This was exactly what he had wanted, to test human ingenuity against overwhelming odds. Hours passed. Exhaustion threatened, but Jax refused to yield. Every decision, every movement, and slowly the fleet began to falter. Their precision was unmatched, but they lacked creativity. They lacked intuition. They lacked the human touch. By the time the alien council retreated, it was clear humans had shown their power, not through sheer weapons, but through cleverness, courage, and imagination. Jax floated in the main chamber, breathing heavily, smiling. The ship pulsed beside him, glowing warmly. Human, remarkable, unbeatable, together. He laughed. "Together, huh?" "That's right. We're unstoppable." And in the dark silence of space, among stars that had seen countless empires rise and fall, a single human and a mysterious ship began to carve a legend that the galaxy would never forget. The journey was far from over. The galaxy would keep testing them. But Jax Marlowe and his ship were ready. Together, they were clever, unpredictable, and entirely human. And the galaxy would learn that humans were capable of far more than anyone had ever imagined. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Reports of a single human and a mysterious powerful ship had spread across star systems, whispered in council chambers, and shouted in spaceports. And now, the moment of reckoning had arrived. Jax Marlowe floated in the captain's chamber, eyes fixed on the main console. Outside, hundreds of alien ships formed a massive fleet. The Galactic Council, the combined might of several advanced civilizations, all converging on his location. Their goal was clear: capture or destroy the unknown threat that had humiliated their smaller patrols. Jax's lips curled into a confident smile. He didn't flinch. Humans had always been underestimated, and now they would finally learn what he already knew. Humans were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. The ship pulsed in response, lights flickering brightly along its corridors. Human, ready, extraordinary, capable. "Ready," Jax said. "Let's show them what humans can do. But remember, this isn't about firepower. It's about brains, intuition, and a human touch."
The alien fleet fired the first volley.
Energy beams streaked through space, massive and precise. Most pilots would panic, but Jax had anticipated everything. With a flick of a console lever, the ship twisted in impossible arcs, adaptive shields bending the beams harmlessly around them. The aliens recalculated. They tried surrounding maneuvers, flanking, and ambushes, but each move was countered by unexpected maneuvers, decoys, and clever tricks. Every time the Council thought they had predicted Jax's moves, the ship did something no calculation could foresee. Hours passed in a deadly dance. The fleet's sheer numbers should have overwhelmed them. But Jax and the ship had an advantage no alien fleet possessed: human creativity. They improvised, adapted, and outsmarted, turning the impossible into the inevitable. At one point, the Council attempted a final massive assault, a coordinated energy strike designed to crush the ship in one blow. Jax's eyes gleamed. He had been preparing for this. "Divert all energy to shields and engines," he ordered. "Use the asteroid belt ahead. Make them think we'll hide. Then twist." It dove through the belt, dodging massive rocks, looping unpredictably. The Council fleet fired blindly. Beams struck asteroids, fizzled against adaptive shields, and even collided with one another. The aliens could not anticipate the improvisation, the human intuition guiding the ship. Human, brilliant, unpredictable, astonishing. Jax laughed. "You finally get it? Humans are never predictable." But this was more than a game of dodging. Jax began to use the ship's abilities to communicate his ingenuity to the Council. Holographic projections of alien fleet formations, counterattack simulations, and energy flows danced around the battlefield, visible to anyone with the right scanners. He demonstrated maneuvers that would allow fleets to navigate dangerous nebulae, survive unstable star systems, and rescue endangered colonies. He showed strategies to conserve energy while maximizing effectiveness. And he did it with grace, precision, and human creativity, not destruction. The alien leaders observed in disbelief. Their advanced fleets, calculations, and technologies could not match what one human, working with a ship built to learn, had created. You've outsmarted us," one alien commander whispered, voice trembling. "All our fleets, all our calculations, they mean nothing against a single human." Smiling, not outsmarted, out-improvised. That's the difference. For the first time, the Alien Council realized what humans could do. They had underestimated adaptability, intuition, and the power of thinking differently. They had focused on numbers, firepower, and precision, forgetting that humans thrived on improvisation, creativity, and courage. Hours turned into a standoff. No ships were destroyed. No blood was shed. And yet the humans had won, not by might, but by proof of ingenuity. Jax floated to the AI core. We did it. They see us now.
Human?
Remarkable, unparalleled, capable, together. The ship pulsed. Yes, Jax said softly. Together. In the aftermath, the Council contacted him. They offered alliances, technology sharing, and recognition. They admitted reluctantly that humans were not to be ignored. They were capable of far more than anyone had imagined. Jax refused most offers. He didn't want fame or power. He wanted freedom, exploration, and the chance to continue improving. Not just the ship, but himself. The galaxy could watch, learn, or underestimate humans if it wished. But humans would always rise, adapt, and surprise. The ship pulsed beside him, engines glowing. Human. Symbol. Future. Jack smiled. A symbol, huh? That's fine. Let them watch. But we're not done. We've only just begun. Together, they left the Council's fleet behind, gliding through uncharted space. Stars streaked past like diamonds on black velvet. Jax had no destination in mind. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. He floated in the cockpit, looking at the glowing AI core. We're not just a ship and a mechanic. We're the start of something bigger. A human future, unbound, unstoppable, and unexpected. Unstoppable, endless potential, together. Jax's grin widened. For the first time in his life, he felt the full weight of what humans could achieve, not with overwhelming power, but with determination, creativity, and courage. The galaxy had been wrong about humans. That mistake would not be repeated. He reached out and touched a panel, feeling the hum of energy under his fingers. The ship responded immediately, flowing like a living entity. Together they formed a partnership that no one in the galaxy could challenge. Not armies, not fleets, not empires. As they drifted into the unknown, Jax whispered, "Let's go see what else humans can do." They were alone, yes, but together, human and machine were unstoppable. A single mechanic had taken a forgotten ship, repaired it, taught it, and made it the most powerful in the galaxy, not through destruction, but through intellect, intuition, and the human touch. Legends would spread. Stories would be told. And one truth would remain. Never underestimate a human. Because when humans worked with their greatest strength, their creativity, they could accomplish anything. Jax Marlowe and the ship drifted into the void, ready for the next adventure, leaving behind a galaxy that had finally learned one lesson it could not forget. Humans were extraordinary. The stars stretched ahead, infinite and mysterious, full of potential. And together, human and ship would face them all. The galaxy would never be the same again.